Hey there, we're Talia and Ophira Edut, identical twins and astrologers. Welcome to AstroTwins Radio, where we bring the stars down to Earth. It is the beginning of the year, the beginning of 2024, so we thought it would be good to start out by sharing our trend report with you. Every year, we write a gigantic book with forecasts for all 12 signs and all 12 months of the year. But what we also do is look at the global trends, because when a new year begins, you're wondering what the heck is going to happen. And 2024 is such a huge year with the election and the climate being what it is on every level, all kinds of climates, from relationships to the environment to war and peace. So we're going to talk about it all today with you and get you ready for the new year. Now, we do give every year an overarching theme, and 2024 is the year of transcendent leadership. Why do we call it that? Well, it is a time, the way the planets are lining up. It's also an 8-year and a dragon year. There's an overriding theme of power and authority, but not from the old way that was about privilege and, domination, but rather the transcendent leadership that rises from within us as individuals. Ophi, I don't know if you want to say anything about that. Yeah, I mean, really, what we've been feeling and saying as we've made our predictions that the old model of leadership is really not working. If it was, the planet would not be in some of the states that it's in right now. But for this decade, a lot of the way we've been coping with that is to look at the people who are elected or non-elected leaders and just saying, hey, why can't they get it right? So in the transcendent leadership year, it's time to turn the pointer finger back at ourselves. Or no, actually, just put the pointer finger down, but to look at where we can lead, where everybody has a space, no matter how big in their lives, where they can rise into a role of leadership. They can impact the outcome, the lives of people. It may be in your home, it may be in a small pod of friends or work, your community, wherever it is. At every moment, you have an opportunity to lead. Transcendent leadership sometimes means that you transcend the bickering that's happening on your social media feed and observe and see where you can make a positive change. To kind of piggyback on that, that doesn't mean also that you know, justify things that are unjustifiable, but rather that you don't try to solve the problem at the level of the problem. The transcendence requires us to really look at it from a completely different angle if we want to get out of this paradigm that's been going on for so long. And that can be really challenging because there are very clear-cut ethical rights and wrongs that we see, that we feel in our human spirit. And that doesn't mean condoning them either, but also when it comes time to lead, how do you do that in a way that allows for a new unprecedented solution to emerge? So that's what we have all year to work on. And, speaking of leaders, let's start our predictions. Let's go right for talk about the election. Let's get that out of the way already. Why don't we, Yeah, everyone's asking us about it, so let's go there. So here's what the planets have shown us. Now, just so you know, the opinions of the podcast hosts and the movements of the planets may or may not be aligned on the show. We're reporting on what the planets are. Our personal opinions may not be on the same page, but that's okay. We just want to give you some neutral information and you can make of it what you will. So without further ado, election 2024. Yeah, so we see lots of curveballs this year, including some meddling from AI and third-party candidates becoming part of
the ballot potentially. So while we are likely to see another Biden Trump round come election day, we're going to have Pluto in Capricorn and Jupiter in Gemini. So we have two contenders of those signs. We have RFK, who is a Capricorn, and Dr. Cornel West, who's a Gemini. And for the first time, we may see a real, like, those third party candidates get way farther than they ever have in the elections.
And then stop that robot, because AI really, there's a chance that AI will meddle at the polls. Pluto being in Aquarius could bring algorithm tricks and election meddling that actually makes 2016's fake news and the stop the steal of 2020 look amateur. So deep pocket donors are also going to wield some serious influence over which candidate's voice is heard. That's nothing particularly new, but it's not going to go away with Pluto back in Capricorn from September 1st until November 19th, the sign of the patriarchal old guard.
And that's actually Pluto's very last time in our lifetimes that will be in Capricorn. So, very interestingly, Pluto first entered Capricorn, which rules governments and hierarchies and corporations and the patriarchy, the economy, in 2008 when Obama was elected. And it's leaving in 2024. Halfway through that, Trump was elected. So, we're going out. Oh, who knows what could happen as this phase comes to an end. Pluto's only in Capricorn every 250-ish years, so we won't experience it again in our lifetime, but it is going to make quite an exit. And no surprise, reproductive rights and the Supreme Court are hot button issues. Actually, the Supreme Court was formed when Pluto was last in Aquarius, going from Capricorn to Aquarius. So the
Like 1800s, yeah.
yeah, so we're seeing that again, but we may see changes to the lifetime terms. Let's hope. Reproductive justice as a major force in this change.
It's so interesting because this year is, we're saying this is the official beginning of the age of Aquarius. Pluto, the transformer, moving into Aquarius for 20 solid years on November 19th. But uh, there's still this year is still like old guard, avant garde coming together. So we're gonna have to, navigate that challenge. Now, when it comes to wellness, get ready for a shroom boom, because big psychedelics are about to become the new big pharma. It's already happening. It's a time to invest in that farm, fungi farm, because psilocybin and microdosing could become the new Prozac or start to bring that buzz, no pun intended, and breakthroughs in perhaps we'll see breakthroughs around the opioid and addiction crisis with both Saturn, the planet of structure, and large donors and funding, and Neptune, which is about healing, together in Pisces, the sign that rules the subconscious as well as addictions and escape. I know. So big psychedelics could become the new cash cow for investors and corporations ruled by Saturn. But we could also see stricter legislation around the use of psychedelics as controlled healing agents. Everyone's got to get in on the money, right?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely a gold rush there. And speaking of other gold rushes, injectables are definitely going to become like the new Botox. So you might be dashing into the corner Medi Spa for a jab before you know it, because all those weight loss drugs could have a heyday as the competitive market is going to drive their prices down. So not that, again, once again, I will stress the opinions of the astrologers and the transits of the planets do not always align. We're just observing here. But by mid-September, there could be some side effects that face greater scrutiny and maybe a class action lawsuit or two. So be careful before you just, try to, whatever, improve your life.
People on the record. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's a possibility of hybrid humans. So,
Yes, some neural implants and 3D printed limbs. So go ahead, read my mind. Progress is going to accelerate on chip based neural implants that restore speech capability and maybe even the movement of paralyzed arms and hands. That's already happening. But clinical trials could even yield breakthroughs in late April. There's an amazing event for science and developments, April 20th, the Jupiter Uranus conjunction, two of the most futuristic planets coming together in Taurus, which rules material world results. This happens every 14 years and not always in Taurus. So it's a big deal, April 20th. So, paired with 3D printing of robotic limbs, we really could become hybrid humans. In
yeah. I
addition to
mean,
all the
that's not the worst thing. I feel like we'll definitely be walking the line between progress and, oh my God, the robots are taking over the world. And Pluto, after November 19th is going to be in Aquarius, the sign of innovation and technology, until 2044. So we've got 2 decades where, you know, science and technology and revolution of all senses of the word are going to be underway. So they guys could get
This
interesting.
is just the beginning, just the beginning. So, what about relationships? Well, we're predicting relationships 2.0 or maybe 4.0. Marriage is going to get a brand refresh thanks to the lunar south node, this karmic point in the sky, and two eclipses in Libra, the sign of committed partnerships. So, for the fluid new world that wants a love without limits and labels, a movement is rising for the age of Aquarius with relationship status names that may be as nuanced as gender pronouns by the end of the year. Committed,
Hmm.
cohabitating, independent, co parenting. I mean, we need some new labels for what a relationship may be.
Yeah,
I,
they're not really reflecting the lives that people are starting to live or wanting to live. So maybe we can bust out of those tight boxes that people are fleeing from at divorce rates that are higher than staying married rates. There's a reason
That
for
does
that. And
that doesn't mean
yeah,
monogamy is dead this year because Jupiter in traditional Taurus is giving rise already to the trad wife, the uber traditional movement. So homesteading, homemaking, and a house full of kids may be the thing for people. So that trad wife movement is going to grow. Maybe even the trad husband. And people are
Brad, yeah, God,
trad.
enough of those. Yeah. I think, by the way, if you don't know what we're talking about, just put the hashtag in front of that and TikTok, and you will see Little House on the Prairie meets the age of Aquarius for the 21st century. Like people who are like, I'm going to have 10 kids and churn butter and, work out in my Lululemons. And my husband and I are going to rope some steers at the county fair and be multimillionaires or something. So, I mean, look, that doesn't sound entirely horrible, but it's
Yeah,
still
kind of
like
something
it's
kind of
being
enticing about that. I'm like thinking about canning some jams right now. And
like the real, let's now the opinion of the astrologer will come in because I am a Sagittarius and I can't help myself. I get one
go ahead, open her head.
um it's all about choice. So if your choice looks like a brand refresh, fluid, label-free relationship or an uber traditional one, as long as you're choosing it and you're not stepping on other people's right to choose the way they want to have it, then you and you and maybe you and you and you do you. That's it. That is all. Okay, back to
Thank
the
you. Thank
stars.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Well, let's talk about, media and culture too. While we're
sure, yeah.
on the lighter side, we're gonna bob and weave. And so, by Twitter, if that's even your real name, we
Bye.
may see the X platform self-combust, but at the same time, it could be replaced by some genre-defying new TV shows and platforms and hybrid social entertainment that rise from the ashes. So
Yep.
And then
Could be a
community colleges may become the
mhm.
new it campus. It's no, my daughter's going to college in 5 years, and I'm already like, wow, this is people. It's become unaffordable to be educated at the level that people need to be to pay the professors and teachers what they deserve. It's an unsustainable model, just like governments and leadership. So the transcendent leader year may bring us some educational reform. And we predict, because Jupiter, which rules higher education, is going into Gemini, which rules neighborhoods and communities, that community college enrollment is going to continue its rising trend, maybe seeing a peak wave for the fall 2024 enrollments. We also see companies working directly with educational institutions to create certification programs. Of course, that can be like a weird mix, non-separation of church and state, but whatever
But
gets you
isn't that
those.
happening everywhere, you know?
It's true,
I really see Yeah,
go ahead.
campuses really I really see them becoming, the new third space for Gen Z students, to meet, exchange ideas, rally for justice, and create community. They don't need to be spending all their money on coffee or, you know, you know, mortgaging their, or like trading their future firstborn for a dorm room. But the campuses of community colleges could be that third space, that space that everyone needs outside of their home to commune. Speaking of
Mhm.
which, what about all those empty skyscrapers in cities that have not been filled since after the pandemic and remote work? Well, those may become the space for new micro communities. We've heard about people talking about, we even know someone who's creating a micro school. But we see, they may have to do some work on the plumbing to make sure there's enough bathrooms and showers in places. But these empty skyscrapers could become places where people co-live, co-work, and share resources, childcare, food services. Let's let that Imagineering commence.
Yes, it would really be great for parents to be able to actually take their daughters and sons to work more than one day a year. I mean, the whole dashing off to pick up your kid and having a stress cortisol dump every day that has wreaked havoc on parents. Like, I think this year, especially when Jupiter's in Gemini, we may come up with some new solutions to that. That would be great. And let's talk about fashion quickly too in 2024. So it's the year of the dragon, and we are going to see the runways serving fire with some dragon fashion. So that could be a pop collar, iridescent fabrics, faux reptile textures.
Might be flamboyant and dynamic. Why not?
Exactly. I'm excited for some dragon fashion. I've seen a few too many white sneakers and beige sweatshirts for my liking this decade.
Yawn,
Bring
yawn.
on some fire. So how about climate? Speaking of heat, we could see a surprise innovation to the climate crisis happening. Let's hope. Definitely need some transcendent leaders there. There may be a landmark scientific development that comes out of left field for renewable energy and water with Saturn, which is about barriers and boundaries and also restrictions. We may see things about the containment and disbursement of water. It's no secret that clean water is a huge issue, but with floods and hurricanes and droughts and tsunamis intensifying, managing where water gets channeled and flowed is going to be a really, really big deal.
And, who has access to waterways, which will take us to
Yeah.
discussions of war and peace momentarily. But we want to also note that, if you're buying a car, electric cars kind of had a little setback, but they're gonna hit the um not gas, the accelerator though. Most likely after May 25th, when Jupiter, which is the planet that makes everything limitless and expansive really fast, goes into Gemini, which rules transit and cars and our the way we get around.
Anything with
Mobility.
wheels on it. Anything
Yeah,
with
so
wheels on.
electric cars, even some recreational space travel is likely to break through to the mainstream in the second half of the year, thanks to fast charging stations that are actually being funded by gas and oil companies, right? Didn't BP invest in
Yes, they
some
bought, Tesla chargers that they're gonna actually put at their gas stations. I guess they're taking the "if you can't beat them, join them" approach. So, it's gonna be interesting to see how that all unfolds. But anything with wheels is gonna get a big lift in the second half of 2024. So, what
Let's
else
talk
might
about
have wheels?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, how about that? Let's just get it over with. Let's talk about the war already. I know everyone's wondering. Um, Unfortunately, with the North Node, the lunar destiny point in Aries, which is the sign of war and combat, it's a dragon year, which is ruled by Mars, the sign of war and combat. We don't actually see an end in sight. In fact, wars and protests and combat are likely to intensify this year. And April is going to be especially explosive. There's a total solar eclipse on April 8th. And then on April 20th, Jupiter and Uranus, which are about global powers, but also this fierce idealism, they're meeting up. Um, in Taurus, which is this territorial energy. And, we're not saying that there's going to be, there could be a major event that makes the history books. We don't want to scare anyone here, but we're not going to, you know, we're not going to lie to you. There is, international tension repeating the October 23rd eclipse cycle when the Israel Hamas war began. And so, um, hoping everyone remains safe and out of the line of fire for that.
Mhm. But by the fall, we may see some surprising new alliances. At least one sovereign state may be formed by December, along with possibly a shocking international alliance that arises out of necessity, or several. The last time Jupiter was in Gemini was when the United States and the USSR became shocking allies in World War II. And so hopefully nothing like that, but that was the start of our entry into World War II. And we do have Jupiter and Gemini again. It happens every 12 years. It's not a world war every 12 years, but I don't think anybody would be surprised here that that level of tension is definitely on the rise as we enter 2024. So send those prayers up and be a transcendent leader, put your high vibration energy into the world. Remember what Tali said, trying to solve a problem at the level it was created never solves the problem. So we do have to be the transcendent change and not go down into that. I mean, it's all we can do sometimes. So there's lots more we can do, but every bit counts. So, and lastly, no, not lastly, we got celebs too. We'll save the celeb predictions for
Save
last.
this list for last. Aofi, what's going on with money?
It's definitely going to be a year of change. But the first half of the year, we still see Jupiter in Taurus, which is the sign of money and Jupiter's abundance. Now, in our 2023 book, we made a bold prediction that the economy was predicted to be really bad and in peril in 2023 by a lot of financial experts. We said Jupiter is in Taurus. Jupiter is about abundance. Taurus is about money. And prior such transits have been um,
Really good
surprisingly,
Yeah, I was formed during one of them, and yeah,
yeah, a lot of things. Yeah. So we may see a crypto come back because with Pluto going into Aquarius, last time Pluto was in Aquarius in the late 18th century, the US dollar was minted and the US mint opened. So a new form of money, a new financial technology is definitely headed our way. We could see a rise of cryptocurrency again this spring. And by summer, maybe a Bitcoin ETF in some institutional investors' portfolio. Because this spring or sooner, the SEC might even approve BlackRock, which is a real behemoth, had a recent application for Bitcoin ETFs. So don't be surprised if your grandfather starts suggesting that you invest in Bitcoin and become a hardcore stocks advocate. And we might even see crypto for the people at the Paris Olympics. A new universal digital currency could be unveiled near the Paris Olympics this July. So who knows? We're going bold with that prediction.
We are.
But
Beware an autumn market crash and panic sell-off, because when Pluto goes back into Capricorn, conservative Capricorn, on September 1st for its final 2.5 months in our lifetimes, and that dovetailing with the election, a media frenzy and skittishness from the elections could cause a panic sell-off during, which is a similar cosmic trend that's happening to the 1929 stock market crash. But
what's super interesting about that is that Jupiter was in Gemini then, which rules the media. So the whole sell-off that caused that crash was fueled by the way news reporters were talking about, some sort of possibly normal trend that was happening, and then it ballooned into, like, Jupiter and Gemini can be like playing a game of telephone, like, did you hear, oh my god, did you hear, and it just gets more and more uh anxious and panicked. So just keep
yeah, we
cool this fall, no matter
we won't
what
know where
you're-
AI begins and where truth ends, and AI and all madness and hype machine and spin doctoring. It's like, if you thought it couldn't get worse than the Trump era, well, 2024, the second half for an entire, and all in the first half of 2025, we're gonna really have to sharpen our truth filters or get some totally new, or just accept that reality and unreality have combined. Now,
what
okay,
is even real. So let's lighten it up. Let's go to those celebrities. Yeah.
a
Yeah,
few
let's go to that
predictions. What about Taylor and Travis, Sophie? What do you see there?
Oh, yeah. We're not saving the best for last, right? Well, everyone, everybody's hoping for a touchdown at the altar, I suppose. Why do we still get so excited about these celebrity weddings? I don't know, but people do.
Yeah.
So we see that there could be a spring or sooner engagement for Taylor and Travis.
April 8th eclipse is a big romantic one for both of their signs.
Yeah, and with Jupiter going into Gemini, which is her marriage house, for a year on May 25th, there could be a pretty quick wedding plans made, but it might take a little longer for the wedding to actually happen. I predict she's going to want to do it in December around her birthday and Christmas, which are, I think, two of her favorite holidays. She grew up on a Christmas tree farm. So, yes, they probably are going to be that Sagittarius Libra kind of perfect, a little bit boring, but sweet couple that you root for. So, hey, good for her.
It's a good match. It's a good match.
good-
Now, we do see some bumps in the road for a couple of of celebrity couples who people have, fanned and fawned over for a long time, maybe too long. And that's Beyonce and Jay-Z and Bennifer. Beyonce is a Virgo, and Saturn is opposite her sun right now, which is really, now Beyonce is generally untouchable. And this year people really started to, people were, I've noticed people starting to dig into her after the Renaissance tour, which has almost never happened before on a wide scale. And I wanted to stop. I wanted to stop right now, but I'm afraid that Beyonce is going to be a little bit under fire, and maybe have to deal with some of the things in her relationship that, can't be handled in a visual album. Now, Bennifer, they're both Leos, and Valentine's Day could be particularly tricky because Mars and Pluto, two really hot-headed combative planets, are going to be together in Aquarius opposite Leo, opposite their sun, and causing some friction. Also, Pluto moving into Aquarius could force them to deal with the non-romantic parts of being with somebody for the long term. Some of her restlessness may arise, some of his addictive tendencies may come up. We hope not, but you know,
Gotta be honest, like, it's like the minute they walk down the aisle, not the Vegas one, but wherever it was down south, like, they just, I fell asleep. Maybe it was the part where, she made a song and performed it for him at the wedding. I was like, that was like the Leo turning point. Like she gave her concert for Ben, and now they're just like they're kind of boring. Like why do people have to get married and then they're no longer making out on, nobody's interested in seeing them making out on yachts or movie sets. Like he seems like that
brings us
grump.
back to what we were saying about relationships and marriages being ready for an update. Marriage 4.0 coming in, so bumps in the road there may be, but will there be a baby bump for the Biebers? Will there be a
There could be. Baby,
baby?
baby, baby, please, right? Yeah. So Justin Bieber and Haley could announce a pregnancy or even plans to adopt. Go figure. Um, or they may be trying to get pregnant. She might have a little bit of a harder time with Saturn in her motherhood house, but they are getting ready for some adulting to the tune of parenting. So a mini Biebs maybe on the way to us. At some point, may hear news of them either trying or conceiving in 2024. And I just hope that their kid maybe gets to be of the age where they're a little bit past puberty before the record deal comes out. So,
Yeah, but with the new form of entertainment, social media hybrid that uh, even, is perhaps going to leave TikTok in the dust over the next couple years. You never know. The baby may actually be implanted with a microphone,
or with an AI chip that, manipulates his father's prepubescent voice, maybe. So I've actually been enjoying watching Mariah Carey's kids and all of her Instagrams over the holidays. That's what I did when I couldn't fall asleep. Just watched them participate in her "All I Want for Christmas Is You." It's actually pretty entertaining. So
were they singing up there?
they were. I've got a soft spot for
Really
Mariah because she is fellow Scorpio, as does J-Lo and as does Ben Affleck. So
many people. Yeah, they do. So many Cyrus.
Beyonce too, who I did read all of her.
So,
So our Scorpio moon people, are you out there?
Beyonce, if you need another reading, we're here for you. But
We will be there.
some cosmic marriage counseling to make it work with the Sag. Because, yeah, that ain't
Well, not easy.
well, everybody, we are going to be with you all year long, of course, writing horoscopes, podcasting now once a week, maybe more with little surprise pop-ups like this. But we will be eager to check back at the end of the year and see how many of these predictions actually come true. There's some that I really hope don't come true, but we must be responsible astrologers and present what we see. All of these predictions, we didn't want to get into the weeds of this, but when we make these predictions, we look at past cycles. We look at where the last time Saturn was in Pisces, 30 years ago, the last time the nodes were in Aries and Libra, and, the time before that and the time before that. And you see trends, you see patterns emerge in alignment with the planet's rulership, the area of life, as well as the zodiac signs are in. So
Astrology is not just about the future, it's also about the past. So when you when you look at the past, it really helps inform how you predict the future. We're not just sitting there looking into a crystal ball, we're actually looking back at historical cycles. So if you meet an astrologer and think that they're fluffy, someone who does this kind of mundane astrologer probably has, if they're any good at it, which we know some very good ones who go a lot deeper than we ever will, they spend a lot of time reading about history and the economy and trends. So it's a serious sport here. It's a serious subject. So you can read a lot more in depth also about these predictions in our 2024 horoscope book. You may already have it sitting on your coffee table. And if you don't, head over to astrostyle.com and grab yourself a copy to guide you all year long. We will be back with more astrology and star power for you. Have a great 2024.
Happy New Year.
As always, thanks for listening. You can discover more of your star power at astrostyle.com and be sure to follow us on social at AstroTwins. Join us next time for more cosmic fun.